welcome to the regularly scheduled mayor and council meeting for the town of Berlin, Maryland. It's January 27th, or January 27th, 2025. We ran a little bit after with our closed session, so please join us in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have them separated out because for expedience, I think there will be a motion to try and separate them, so we tried to help out with that. So up first is agenda item 1A, closed sessions of January 13th, 2025. Motion to approve closed session. So I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Nur.
You're not going to have a quorum.
Yeah, you're not going to have a quorum.
We have a quorum to start the meeting. We don't need a quorum on the votes.
Right, you do not
Correct.
have a quorum on the, because Councilmember Morris was recused from the closed session.
I can't vote to approve or do.
We're going to have to put that to the next meeting.
So we'll push it to the next meeting.
So you have to have the 3 votes
Yes.
tallied to the yeas and the nays.
Yes, you do.
Gotcha. Okay. So the motion by Councilmember Nur would be to move agenda item 1A, closed sessions of January 13th, 2025 to the next meeting. And
Second.
we can do that by consensus.
Yeah, there we go.
And then agenda item 1B, regular session minutes from January 13th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
So a motion by Councilmember Ortiz. Second by Councilmember Nur. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Let the record reflect that the regular session minutes of January 13th, 2025 passed unanimously, 3-0 with Vice President Burrell and Councilmember Green absent. Up next, agenda item 2, presentations from the Burdell Family Foundation Service Award. I don't think we have anybody here, so we'll move that to our next meeting as well. Up next is agenda item 3, items for approval. We do accept public comment before each one of these are actioned. First is agenda item 3A, that's motion 2025-04, Radio Berlin letter of support. And we have We Heart Berlin. Yes, you may. Thank you. Jeff Smith, just name and who you're representing. And then,
My name is Jeff Smith, president of We Heart Berlin.
and if you want to just bring everybody up to speed, we've talked about the use of the water tower for a Town of Berlin radio station.
So We Heart Berlin was approved by the FCC in November to build a low-power FM radio station that would operate at a maximum of 100 watts with a radius of approximately 3.5 miles for broadcast range, which would basically cover the town of Berlin. We envision this as a radio station needed for, about, and by the town of Berlin. We Heart Berlin would run it, and we're asking the town of Berlin support both to help us, get it up and going, but also to locate the antenna on the water tower, which is located at the corner of, was it Bryan and Franklin Avenues, I think?
Yep, right across from Purdue, the old Purdue.
Yeah.
So the request is for a letter of support and for the use of space. So it would be typically something that we would rent out, but we would not charge We Heart Berlin. We would probably still have you enter into like the use agreement, but the fee could be waived by this body. And that
So
is the
tell those folks
recommendation.
at home why we aren't charging We Heart Berlin, because I would like for them not to start emailing and calling and saying how unfair that is that they're not getting charged.
So they're a nonprofit, and
Thank you.
with that, we are trying to assist with them onboarding a radio station for Berlin and by Berlin. And with that, I think you're also seeking some assistance from funding from the county.
We're applying for a grant through the county
Right.
for a nonprofit grant.
So in that capacity, Berlin's really not providing grant funding support. We're going to provide the use of space in lieu of funding.
Great explanation, Mayor. I'm glad you stated that. Thank you.
No problem. So with that, any questions for Jeff?
Where do you broadcast from?
We haven't officially figured out where we're going to broadcast from. I mean, the FCC has given us 3 years to construct the transmission tower. It doesn't require a studio initially. So the transmission tower would basically be the water tower. Ideally, we would have a studio that can be broadcast from anywhere. We plan to try to make our studio space be very portable.
I like that idea.
And this would be a daytime type operation?
This would be a 24-hour radio station in theory. We are required by the FCC to operate at least 5 hours a day.
The only caveat I would ask is that, and I haven't thought about this until now, if we had an emergency alert that we need to broadcast.
We are required to have an emergency alert system built into our radio station. So we would be able to use the radio station to emergency broadcast.
I would recommend that this body make your motion contingent on the fact that if we have emergency broadcasts within reason, that we ask the radio station to push out, that they do so. Well, if it's storm related, if it's something, that we could then provide that material to them and they can push it out on our behalf.
I think that would be something that we would be happy to do. One of the purposes, I think, of the radio station, it would be an opportunity for the town to be able to get information out to the public.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure emergency services would want to touch base with you guys.
Like I said, it is required by the license that we have an emergency alert system. It's actually a separate piece of equipment that we have to buy that receives emergency alert systems like any other radio station. So, you know, the 3 beeps or wherever they come on, we're required to have one of those attached to our system.
I assume you'll seek out advertising?
We'll seek out sponsorships at some point, yeah. It is officially a nonprofit station. The license is only for nonprofits. It's an educational-based radio station, so we'll certainly seek out sponsorship in some way.
So you hit all my hot spots. I mean, you were in my flipping wheelhouse with this one. You said education station and communications to a chick with an English degree and an education degree and an education and a communication arts degree. So I am ecstatic about this, and I'm hoping that what you grow this into is even an intern opportunity for those comp art students, say from a local level, be they high school or what have you, or the tech school, or even the local universities. Because I know when I was an undergrad here on the shore getting a communications arts minor, if it weren't for the fact that we had a television station and a radio station on the campus, I was kind of limited as to where. I mean, I know there are other places here on the shore that had radio stations, but they weren't welcoming at that time. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and yay.
One of our goals is to include the school systems in our programming. So we would have space on the air dedicated to the schools to be able to broadcast whatever, some educational program, or have kids run their own shows on the air. To also include Berlin's Historical Society, include shows about Berlin's history.
So are you talking music too?
We're talking music too.
Classic rock.
Yes.
Heavy metal.
All of those.
So, all right, with that, any other questions for Jeff? Okay, we'll open it up to the public. Any comments regarding motion 2025-04? Seeing none, we'll take a motion by the council.
Motion to approve motion 2025-04 with the additional caveat of emergency notification capability.
So it'll be a letter of support,
Yes.
and it'll be the grant of space on the water tower
Yes.
with a use agreement and the ability to broadcast emergency
Mayor's act motion.
messages. No, I'm just framing your motion. So Councilmember Morris made the motion.
Second.
Councilmember Nur seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the vote's 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to bringing,
We'll get you the letter too.
we look forward to bringing Radio Free Berlin.
Good morning, Berlin.
Yeah, there you go.
I love everything about that.
All right, item 3B, motion 2025-05, special event permit for disc golf tournament at Syndicator Park and Eastbound Disc Golf this year. Just come forward, state your name for the record, and then tell us a little bit about what you're asking.
Hello, my name is Noah McAleer, representing Eastbound Disc Golf.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So we were asking for as a special event permit to use Stephen Tater Park, specifically the disc golf basket, disc golf course, disc golf baskets and course already located there for a small disc golf tournament. This will be Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This Eastbound is a nonprofit organization. This event is not bringing in any revenue. all registrations will be taking place prior to the event. They're all digital. It'll be actually a doubles tournament, so similar to a golf scramble. Teams of two will sign up, play together as a team. It's actually, the event is called the Double Dip Double Dash because we are double dipping in both the Berlin disc golf courses. There's another course in Ocean Pines, Bainbridge Park. That'll be where round 1 takes place. It'll be in the morning. Round 2, ideally, will be at Steve Decatur Park in the afternoon. So we'd occupy the space from about 1 to 4. I think I put the pavilion application for 12 to 4. We have players arrive around 12, sign in. Again, just, all the payment would happen online ahead of time. They would come, check in, we'd start the event at 1. We're limiting the field to 36 players, which would put about 4 per hole. It's a 9-hole course. Actually, yeah, it's a 9-hole course. And so we'd be done playing probably by 3, with 4 to be safe. And that's really it.
So no, is that?
Yes.
What was that? I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Is there a rain date?
No rain date. I think it would have to be a lot of rain for us not to play. So it's a little different than golf. You flip or you throw, you stand still and throw. So plus we're a little bit weird. So we'll go out and play.
I remember. Sorry, Mary. Is there any other events going on March 1st in town or at the park?
Not that I'm aware of.
So when he got the application, they checked
that
that
it?
at that point.
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
I think Kate can answer to that.
park's calendar at this time.
Oh, awesome, thank you. And then my only other, is there a way that we would be able to actually explain, how does it work? Will there be some sort of signage saying that there's an event in the park on this day and this time, like a week before it happens, so that folks know who walk their dogs and whatnot, that there's something happening?
We don't use, it's seldom that the park gets used in this way.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we
yeah,
don't
it's-
usually have we don't actually have a protocol for that. But I would certainly invite the group to.
Is that something that you would be able to?
Yes, yeah, we'd be happy to do that. So the course in Ocean Pines at Bainbridge, it's obviously a different request or a different group of people, but we're intending to do that exact sort of thing.
Okay. Just, folks walk their dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm actually a resident of Ocean Pines. I live right by that course, so I see all the people walking the dogs and things. And so, yeah, that's the intent, is to put up signs probably 2 weeks before, just to say, or even less, but just to say, hey, heads up, there'll be 36 people here.
Jimmy, will we have our electronic sign by then?
It's potentially being delivered on February 7th.
So-
Well, arriving to Baltimore February 7th. So yes, it could possibly be here
Be an
and
inaugural.
then we can put it out.
The first activity.
There you go.
I just said to Keith, I said, my signboard will be here. Well, the town signboard, sorry. But
Awesome.
yes,
So,
the
yeah.
signboard should be here.
That'd be great. So-
Yeah, disc golf's new, so that's, I think, a little notification. Thank you.
Maybe, I don't want to overdo it,
Oklahoma.
but maybe for those folks who read the public access, you want to put it on there too, maybe just a heads up.
Sure.
So that they're not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's not all that, oh my God, I had no idea.
You can send us any of the graphics or anything that you use, and Kate can
Certainly.
put that up.
Certainly.
There is one additional form that was not given to you. It's an oversight on our part, and it's the business use of park form. And all that is it is an indication that you are charging a fee, and it gives you the opportunity to identify yourself as a nonprofit. So we'll get that to you tomorrow.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and one other thing I'll add, and this is actually something we're making as a separate request, hopefully for next meeting, is a layout change to the course as well. And this will actually, I think, help with the people walking their dogs and things. I think the current layout that was initially approved about 2 years ago does involve a lot of holes overlapping walking paths and long walking paths. And so the group's actually gone out recently and mocked up a first draft of a new layout that would really kind of streamline the course to remove a lot of that, make it better for patrons of the park, safer, and better for the disc golfers also. But that should be, ideally we get that into the next meeting, but I wanted to give kind of a heads up for that.
I would, if I may, I would, that's a great idea, but I would also look at the original drawing that was presented to us 2 or so years ago, because we had with your organization, we had discussions about placement and things like that, so I would just take a little time to see what the first drawing was.
Right, yeah, and actually the guy who, Sean Johnson, is the president of Eastbound, and he was one of the people who was part of that original conversation years ago, so.
Are they taking that to the Parks Commission?
I was just going to say, if it's coming to the next council meeting, no, there would not be a Parks Commission
It
meeting.
should go to the Parks Commission first.
Well, can you do that via email? We do that when it's between times. However, I will ask you to coordinate with Mr. Charles. If there's going to be things to be moved, we'll need to work closely with Public Works.
Great, that's
The
awesome.
reason why we didn't push it to a meeting in February was to give Jimmy and Cody enough time to review the proposed changes, so
Okay.
they have been sent.
How quickly do you think you're looking to make the changes to the course?
We would probably do it in one working day.
I'm saying,
But I mean,
Like by
sorry, yes.
March 1st or
Before your
by?
March 1st copy.
Before March 1st. So
Oh.
if we were able to get approval February 10th, I'd probably shoot for the weekend after, to actually make the layout changes, which would be all of, I think, just lifting 4 baskets out of the ground and moving them to a new spot. Most of the baskets would remain in the same position. Well, yeah, still about 4 of 9. Or we can move, that's all.
Make sure that whatever the change is clearly articulated in the Parks Commission. We would like their
Yeah.
feedback first.
Perfect. Yeah, make sure to have that detailed out.
All right, any additional questions for Noah?
I just want to make a statement. I truly appreciate the fact that you guys at Disc Golf have done your due diligence. I know that in the past you've heard Mr. Burrell state, no, I say high five to you on this, or the group, but I'm partial to this kid. But I would say high five to you guys for making note of no exchanging of funds the day of the event on the premises, because I mean, that's a big no for not just Mr. Burrell, but the town as a whole. So taking that into consideration and making sure that all registration is done online before they get there, no day of, thank you. We truly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anything else for Noah? All right, we'll ask the public, any comments regarding motion 2025-05? Just say your name and entity you represent.
That's Taylor Hubbard, also with Eastbound. Just wanted to add, it's a net negative funding for us. You see, we're collecting fees, I don't understand, we're not profiting from it, even though we are a
Yeah.
nonprofit. It's a net negative total tournament, so there's no actual money going to the organization at the end.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other public comment regarding motion 2025-05? Seeing none, we'll take action by the council.
Motion to approve the March 1st disc golf event.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Nerd,
Second.
second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect the vote's unanimous and passes 3-0. Thank you. You're good to go.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Up next is agenda item 3C, motion 2025-06, and the deed of dedication for Westview Townhomes Public Facilities. And we have President Jason Malone and Mr. Cropper. Now, before we begin, full transparency, this gentleman, Mr. Malone, is my sister-in-law's father. I have no financial interest in the company, nor will I be signing your motion if it is passed this evening. I will let that rest with Vice President Burrell, but just for the clarity of the public safety.
Very good.
All right, thank you. You can begin, Mr. Cropper.
For the record, Mark Spencer Cropper, 6200 Coastal Highway, Suite 200, Ocean City. I represent JM Land Holding LLC. The purpose of this meeting is to facilitate a deed of dedication which turns over to the town of Berlin the various utility easements and roads, road rights of ways within the Westview subdivision being developed by Mr. Malone. I drafted the deed of dedication. It was forwarded to Mr. Gaskell, which I think he's reviewed and approved. The required letter of credit, i.e. bond, was submitted to the town of Berlin. I believe is in Berlin's possession. So as far as I know, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to deliver and date the deed of dedication. I presume today's date, Mr. Gaskell?
Yes, that'd be fine.
And as well as the letter of credit, and that's all we're here for.
I just want the council members to understand that this development was approved by the town. It was built by Mr. Malone. The streets are built to town standards, and if we don't accept these streets, then we're not going to be providing trash pickup or snow removal to tax-paying citizens in the town of Berlin. The whole import of this is to bring these 2 very small roads, it appears to be, into the town inventory of streets so we can provide public services to the residents there.
And just to add to what, or re-emphasize really what Dave just said, the key is that the streets were built to town standards with the intent, and we need to get to.
And approved
Yes.
Yes.
the final product.
Correct.
Okay, that's, for me, that's the, not that I'm going in that, but with all of those subdivisions, housing developments, HOAs that come up, they aren't always up to town code, but at the end of the day, everyone wants us to accept and approve and all those things. So to hear that you followed protocol and that it was approved, that, thank you. Yeah, because not everybody does.
Jim, Charles, anything to add?
TB&F also approved and sent a letter out, their approval of this. We're ready to zoom about the roads.
Any other questions?
No, I just want to add also with regard to the easements, the town needs the easements dedicated so the town has full access to the utilities within the subdivision.
So tell me, Gaskell, how this works. If we accept and approve today, we take possession effective.
Right, they're town, immediately.
I'm just thinking, I'm just checking
And
because I mean.
They become part
I'm
of the
hoping
town.
for another
town's
snow
property.
week. And I'm just,
Well,
We're not.
And they would like us to accept.
that's
So
why
they
I'm
get some
asking
approval.
here what that means as far as like when we would take effect of these or possession of these effective
That'd be
immediately.
effective immediately, yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Crowder?
I do, and I'm noticing it's in this, it's a question about the warranty. DBF was out there in September, and their letter dated to us is October, and we're here approving it in January. Should the warranty go to today's date, 27th?
I don't think that's necessary. DBF went back in October, determined that the streets were built to town standards. And what has been required of Mr. Malone is, as with any other developer, when they build roads to town standards and the town accepts those roads, they have to either bond or issue this letter of credit for a 2-year period, warranting that the streets, if anything happens to them, to the streets, that they are responsible to come out and do the required repairs, not the town.
That was my only question. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Crowder? All right, we'll open it up to the public. Any comments regarding motion 2025-06? Seeing none, we'll take action by the council.
Motion to approve 25-5-06, the deed dedication.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Ward,
Second.
a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect the votes unanimous, 3-0. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Can I be quick?
Sorry.
Again, this, so I can witness his signature
For you
and you
to,
date it.
yeah.
Up next, you gentlemen can stay there, finish your paperwork, but we're going to move on to agenda item 3D, motion 2025-07, the purchase of a drone. And Chief Arnold Downey's going to run for it.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay,
Good evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thanks.
Berlin Police Department's had the opportunity to investigate and begin planning for a drone program since October, November. Lieutenant Fisher and Acting Corporal Lloyd actually visited Montgomery County and different agencies to figure out the best way to move forward. So today we're actually requesting the ability to purchase a drone and to utilize forfeited funds to go ahead and do that.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief of police?
Go ahead. Okay. Chief, what exactly are you, when you said program, what is that exactly? What are you looking to use this for?
We're actually looking for a multi-functional program. Currently, we're utilizing or borrowing assistance from other agencies, Fire Marshal's Office, if we have to go ahead and map out any type of traffic accident scenes, which might be serious in nature. We'll be able to go ahead and map out any crime scenes themselves, search and rescue, tactical deployment, and community outreach. Those are things that are right there, low-hanging fruit for use of these.
So without, I mean, obviously I don't want to ask too deep, but for events, this could be something possibly you could use if there's a security concern or something like that? Possibly, something like
Yes,
that?
for surveillance, yes.
Yeah.
For any large gathering, we could go ahead and utilize that. For any protests, we could utilize it for those things also.
Thank you.
How many officers would be trained to use this?
Minimum of 3,
3. And is there an extra expense for training costs?
of course.
But that would come later.
Correct.
That's not part of this quote.
That is correct.
Do you know about how much that would cost? Do you have estimates?
Training can be less than $75 for FFA remote license. A lot of it's online with a few hours, online training. We're not quite sure what exact training we're going to do. We're at the point of looking at what the other agencies are doing. We've already decided what we need actual drone for or what we plan for. So we've actually selected the right one, and we've actually sent out a memo soliciting interest from the officers.
And did I read this correctly? This drone has night vision capabilities?
Thermal, yes.
That's pretty cool.
Very cool. Any additional questions for the chief?
One more time. I heard you when you said the funding source, the funds are going to come from. Can you say that again for the folks who didn't hear you? I heard you, but.
From forfeited funds.
Okay.
And explain to the public what that is.
The funds that we've actually received from criminal court cases. They've all been forfeited through the court themselves, most of them in drug cases. This is probably, the fund currently has $40,000 in it, and we've probably had funds for the last 20 years sitting in the fund, so it's time to spend some money.
And those funds are restricted on use,
That is
just so
correct.
everybody's aware. They are noted in our audit annually, also in our reporting of our fund balances. You do see forfeited funds. It's important to note that those funds are not from general taxpayer dollars, and that as the chief noted, the full funding of this is coming from forfeited funds.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll take any comments from the public regarding motion 2025-07. Seeing none, we'll take action by the council.
Motion to approve the purchase of a drone?
So a motion by Councilmember Nerd,
Second.
second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect that the vote's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next is agenda item 4, presentation by the Berlin Fire Company. I see Vice President David Fitzgerald and Chief Andy Grundon with us for agenda items 4A and G. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you.
Andy, thank you for sending over the email with a little intro to who you are. It's nice to meet you.
Well, you sent the.
What's that? A little bio. We've known each other for a while, but still nice to meet them on paper.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Everybody had a good holiday.
Yeah.
I heard you doing the introductions while we were discussing the slide advancement.
Oh, yes. I was yes.
All right, so Chief, you start out with the fire company operations report for those responses from July to December. Just to remind the council and the public, we're on semi-annual now instead of quarterly. So this is July 1st to December 31st, 2024.
Okay, so you can all read. I will blister through these pretty quickly. 64 calls in town, making up a total of 36.5, give or take, % of our calls. Out of town, 111. 6-month total down, 15 from the month prior. And the year prior, is that right?
From 6 months prior.
Okay, 6 months prior, sorry. Moving on to the next one. Busiest day. Monday followed by Sunday, and then busiest times of day, 5 p.m. And 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't ask me why that is, I have no idea.
Does it have a change in operational impact?
No. Well, if it's during the daytime, you might have a little more trouble with volunteer turnout, but we have a cadre of volunteers who work full-time fire departments everywhere, so all of our schedules are a little atypical compared to a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 employee. So, we can still get up and get apparatus out because I'm sure half of us already work shift work somewhere else.
Is there, what I'm asking is there a reason to continue to include that? Because really, I don't know what that really tells us, and I'm sure it takes some time to compile on your old end. Really does it make a difference to any of you?
I like knowing it.
Okay, all right.
It's interesting
All
to
right.
me.
Well, then we can keep it in
Yeah,
there.
there you go.
Let's write it down.
Sounds good, thanks.
Put a big old arrow there for sure.
Moving on to the less granular data, simultaneous calls for the fire side, 32 or more, so I'm sure you guys have heard enough of these presentations. You realize what that says is there's already one call going on, and a second or third call comes out on top of that, which is a resource stressor. Again, previous 6 months, 25 times. Insofar as response time, the time it takes us to get out the door, 4 minutes, 30 seconds, that's an average, right? So the county response.
You should know that.
He's doing, give it, cut him a break.
I know, I'm joking because you ain't allowed.
I take the 30,000-foot view.
Too far.
It takes, the rule is you have 6 minutes to get out, so we're well within that. The other thing is, and I think it's listed here as well, during Berlin, on the weekends is crowded. We all know that. And if you're coming from anywhere that's not within at least earshot of the firehouse, it's going to take you a little longer to get here. And to do it safely just means that you might tack on a little bit of incremental seconds to get up there. So that finishes off my part for the fire side.
So here we have, okay. You're going to the administrative side of the fire?
Yep, so the administrative side, the volunteer manpower, total volunteer is 2,833.8 hours. So that is where the substantial savings comes to the taxpayers is, as the chief said, the volunteers, while we do let our career staff supplement, the fire and rescue is volunteer based. So you have 1,402 hours on the emergency calls and 1,431 hours for doing other things. And as we mentioned before, that is what is recorded in our computerized system as many times that you see. As today, I saw the chief's vehicle up there personal vehicle up there several hours. So that time, because we don't clock in and out of time clock when we're up there. Same thing as me today, getting ready for this meeting. I'm not punching the clock to keep track of those hours. So there's plenty of other additional hours. Budget highlights. A favorable budget highlight for the donation drive, $6,500 over last year. Did a little bit of digging into that. From last year's mailing, we had about 100 more addresses. One of the streets that you just accepted, that's a new development. Also, all the homes over on Maple Street, those apartments are all back occupied again. So when we did last year's mailing, those addresses weren't in the database because they weren't receiving mail there. So the town is growing, as well as not the out of town, but the in-town occupancy with at least 100 additional addresses. We did receive a capital donation for one air pack that wasn't covered under the grant, so that's a helpful situation for us from a very nice donor. And then our county funds that come in the first quarter of the year were increased by $8,325, and that's due to the real estate tax assessments countywide. And then we received our town funding as per the contract at $200,000. Expenses, nothing really to report here for 6 months of the year. All our expense categories as projected. We do have some major repair bills coming in one of our engines, and we always wait to do our tire replacements in the third quarter. Our tires have to be replaced every 7 years. Doesn't matter whether we put 1 mile on them or 10,000 miles, because they're driven at high speeds, and we have to follow the standard, so we're not putting ourselves into a liability situation. And then we always wait till the last quarter for most of our equipment to ensure our funds are available, because once we get our funds, there's no changing of that. So, and then just the summary, the capital expense summary, no change there. The engine and rescue are on order. The committee chair updated us that the engine's still due in around May 2025. The rescue truck in September. Funding through the FEMA grant and some of our own funds should be in around April. And that just again summarizes the how those are paid for. That concludes our fire report.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Grundon or President Fitzgerald regarding the fire report? All right, I will take the opportunity to say thank you publicly to Andy, Chief Grundon, and EMS Captain Dahl. We did have the snow emergencies that we're all familiar with, but before the big snowfall that we had, we did have a departmental meeting with all of our staff that would be running and operating during the storm. And Chief Grundon and Captain Dahl were both active and engaged, and we're here on site to be able to participate in those meetings, and I think it was very helpful. So thank you. We appreciate that. With that, your new tenure as chief, what do you see? I know more money is what everybody would say, even if I asked any of our department heads. But outside of that, is there anything like top of mind that you feel like resources-wise that you're missing?
On our side, recruitment and retention, it's hard to recruit people, volunteers and career. On the career side, finding paramedics is like finding unicorns. And if we knew where that pot was, we would go let them out of that. Volunteering right now is hard. A lot of us have training when we come in. So getting somebody off the street, telling them, hey, you got 6 months of training to do, stuff like that. So trying to sort of butter that bread and make ourselves more appealing, we need from you guys too, in the expression of positivity for your town fire department. Basically, talk us up. We need to talk ourselves up too, but this is in the end a marketing thing to try to get volunteers in the door. And that is, I would think that the president would agree with me, people, people, people. It's all about people, and it's just exceedingly hard to get people to show up for something of this nature in modern times. Everybody's got something going on, but then to commit to the training, the time, it's tough. So as we go forward and we try to recruit, you know, anytime you guys see us out there or see us doing something, or it can spin something positive upon that, say, hey, doesn't that look neat? Don't you want to do that? Help us out. Money is always a thing. Resources is always the thing. Everything's getting more expensive by the day. Apparatus especially. So, you know, like you said, we'll be back for more, but that, for me, the single most important thing right now is people and getting them in.
With that being said, if you want to come up with, like, Kate can help you, but if you want to come up with something we can put on the public access channel, that would be helpful. If you want to come up, do you have anything digitally, like if somebody goes to your website, is there a, hey, I'm interested, I filled this application out online?
We do, but we're going to have to enhance that. None of us speak fluent Gen Z.
Right.
It turns out.
So, what I would say is that if you come up with some sort of a link, what we can always do is add that as a portion of our Berlin Bulletin. It goes out monthly. We can also certainly maybe add a link. We have that for volunteers, for boards, commissions, and committees. It would route them off of our page, but we could share that as well in our becoming involved.
Yeah, once I get a little further lay of the land, maybe we'll come back and.
Okay. Just know that's an option.
Yeah.
How's your cadet program? I'm sorry.
It's okay. We've got a couple new coming in. We've got some active ones as it is. In comparison to other departments, we're pretty much level pecking with everybody. Truthfully, the kids we do have, and I hate to call them kids, but that's what they are.
For sure.
They're way more involved than a lot of other kids. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a room full of slugs in other departments with their faces buried in their phones. But we actually do have participating young people. And we're, again, just with what the mayor was saying, trying to cultivate that amongst themselves. Hey, you talk to your friends, because if I go out and talk to a teenage kid, it doesn't translate, no matter what I try. But they can speak their own language, and sort of trying to push that along, like, talk to your friends, talk to other people, get them to come up. But and once that fuse is lit, we can generally use the inertia, if you will, to start grabbing more and more as we move along. So we're seeing that now. We've got a couple of kids that are coming in from Stephen Decatur.
I was thinking about that. When my son, well, the mayor too when he was younger, but my son, like 15 years ago, when he was a high schooler and doing those, you know what I mean, his cadet time, there were so many of them. And I was just curious as to right now, Are there a lot of that, you know what I mean? And I know
There's not
that-
as many as there once was, but that's because, once upon a time,
It
others
ebbs and
had cell
flows.
phones.
Yeah.
But it does
Yeah.
ebb and flow.
It does, and again, like peaks and valleys, we're going in a positive direction, actually.
That's good.
Which is really good. You get those young people moving forward, and then once they turn 18 and graduate, by then we've already, for lack of a better term, set the hook. So
Yeah.
we kind of have them then.
I know a big thing with the group that's in middle and high school right now, a lot of them are really, really service driven. Like this group right this minute, like you said, it all ebbs and flows, but this group right now, they're all looking to be President's Award recipients for having over 100, 200 service hours. And if it's still, as I remember from, like I said, when my oldest was a cadet, you're racking up 200, 300, 400 hours as a cadet. So I
Right.
mean, pushing that aspect of it to these current high schoolers, and even, how young do you take them, 14, 15? Is it 14?
Yep, 14.
Yeah,
18.
even pushing that as young as the 8th grade, like I said, they're really, really, really big on this group right now. They all want to be a part of some kind of service and rack up their service learning hours. So, you know what I mean? That may be a great avenue to sway into your way.
Yeah, and it's an ancillary benefit for the excitement. Hey, you're knocking out a requirement you already need. And you get to do something fun with other people. It is certainly unique.
Yeah.
And
The
you
other-
talked about the danger or the difficulty of recruiting paramedics. Are we in danger of losing people we already have?
You have.
You're always in danger. Insofar as we get cherry picked by Ocean City. Berlin's a great place to work for. It is a supply and demand issue, and the supply is exceedingly low. You saw my email where I've worked for Ocean City for 18 years, and I've worked for Anne Arundel for almost 20 now. This is not a unique to Berlin problem.
Right.
It is, the paramedics have set the market is theirs. So we are an attractive place to work considering other places, but when there's just nothing in the well.
But will it hurt our ability to respond to calls?
No, but calls will be covered regardless. So we may have to think outside the box to make that happen, but as far as a reduction in service now, there's nothing that's going to happen for that, no matter what we have to do.
Now, from another side with the recruitment, we've offered this before, kind of tags along with recruitment and fundraising. The farmer's market's always an opportunity if you want to, it happens on Sundays, I'm sure you're aware. But if you have some new folks that are in EMT school, they want to take blood pressures or something like that, and set up a booth for.
Some of our younger members, we've talked about just that, setting up something to, again, hey, here we are,
Yeah.
we're part of the community, we're
Use
using
the monitor,
friends.
you don't have to do it like manually, just like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like it's even cheap, but still, I mean, a presence there, even, hey, become a volunteer, by the way, we accept donations. I think all those, we would be open to helping assist with that.
Yeah, going forward, like I said, I gotta get my feet under it and established, but no.
That's the best time to get you, when you don't know what you're. We like you when you're green.
Meanwhile, David's pouring sweat.
It's all good stuff. So just to remind you, because I think we mentioned this to you before, with the, and I always date myself by saying VOTEC, the technical high school, we have that program countywide. One of the things that the strategic planning committee did last year is we did a graduation ceremony that had never been done before in Worcester County. So we did it to give them some recognition, invited their parents, had some food there. So this wasn't, come down there, today's your day, your final exam, thank you, go work in Ocean City for the summer and go to college. It was, hey, thank you for taking the program, thank you for volunteering at the fire company. Some of them, we do leave. They leave because they go to college, and unfortunately, due to not only the paramedics, but whatever they're taking, their major they're taking, takes them then away from here. We had a cadet, he's going to be a doctor, and he's probably not coming back to Berlin. Unfortunately, even though we have a hospital and what have you here. So that's what we do, and then also we have a small grant that we're finishing up. I've talked to Tony Wigg about doing a video for us. Once we get down to that budget, I think that's going to be an available expense for recruitment, and Tony said he'd do a video for us.
I think it's a worthwhile investment. I mean, if recruitment's really your challenge, I think you gotta try and.
Because like you said, we're too far. Don't want to say that we're both old, but yeah.
Tanika was talking about time past. I remember.
Tony knows how to do all that.
I remember David before he had highlights. And he remembers me probably with diapers, so.
Are you on the swing on the front porch?
Yep, that's exactly right.
But,
My dad did leave me on the swing to go to a fire.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. Will Scott got in trouble with that.
I just wanted to quickly also point out that there's on the town website, we have a page dedicated to the fire company, NEMS.
It
So
just
that's-
links over to.
It just
their
says
website.
cars.
But I mean, what we could do is, to the mayor's point, is we can put the link for
Oh, yeah.
volunteering for them there, they can go there, and that video that you do, we could put on ours.
Probably 2 or 3 months before Tony gets to that tour.
Right.
But it'll be springtime, that's a good time to put it out. Kids are interested in getting out and about.
And then I have some fireside stuff, but I think fireside chat, if you will. And
Hyperdrive and
I guess
25
hyperdrive
and
on
fire.
25. I guess we could do that after your EMS summary.
All right, agenda 4B.
Okay, so EMS Captain Dahl is working tonight, as he said, he works shift work, so Fire Chief's going to read the operational part, and I'll give you the.
Yep, and I spoke to Captain Dahl before I came up here. He wanted to pass along his apologies. He had coverage tonight to get up here. Ocean Pines ran shortly before this meeting a call of high severity and high acuity, and he could not break away, given all the givens that took up from him. So,
And we're understanding.
yeah, he profoundly apologizes. So, all right, again, I'm going to list her kind of through this. In-town EMS calls, 609, comprising 53, a little over 53% of the calls. Transports, 442 transports, comprising almost 3/4 of our call outcomes to non-transports, 167. Busiest days, Councilmember Nichols isn't here for her.
So go for it.
Skip that one.
We can all say the busiest day is Tuesday, followed by Wednesday. If I would ponder a guess as to why that is, I'd be strictly guessing. Busiest times of the day, again, 11 to noon, followed by 5 to 6 p.m. I have no idea why that is. Let's see, response times, 1.04 minute average. This is well within any national metric you're ever going to find. So, and the fact that it includes us covering calls that are starting to stack up, the 1, 2, 3 calls that hit, I will pat our crews on the back for getting that done. Moving on to simultaneous calls, 353 times where we have the 1, 2 or the 1, 2, 3. Berlin is a unique animal that we get the 1, 2 call. Some places just are. I've done this long enough to know that there are aberrations of places where first call, second call. It's the strangest thing, and Berlin is one of these things. Thank God we have 2 crews. So the other thing, and I spoke with President Fitzgerald about this, that 353 times equates to 706 incidents. So remember, when you see 353, we're talking about multiple calls, 2, maybe 3. So right out of the gate, we're talking about a sizable chunk of calls that are bang, bang, or bang, bang, bang. So that's significant. I have no idea why that happens in Berlin, but it's a thing, and it's a statistical fact for us. I cannot explain it. And that totals out my talk, away from my fireside chat.
Hyperdrive in 25.
So opposite of the fire, so the EMS our donation drive is $5,000 less. We are starting to see a trend that year to year. I think the people are just taking the chance, because what this donation does for them is it allows it to cover their copay or their deductible. I just think they're seeing this, and it's just going down. And we'll just have to keep a trend. And we have kept ours at $50, where most everybody else has raised theirs up to $75 or $100. We've kept ours at $50 because we see our numbers going down. And it's just up to the public. There's nothing we can do to change the public's mind when they get that in the mail. They read it. We do get a lot of calls and questions about our EMS donation drive. You know, what does it cover? Am I reading this properly? That type of thing. And I took a call just the other day and they basically said what I just told you. I'll just take the chances.
Dave, I would recommend or suggest that you really try to enhance your marketing material for when you make requests for both EMS and fire. You've been kind of doing the same thing year after year after year. And sometimes people get it and they just put it aside. It's like it needs to be freshened up. You know, color photos of your crews and whatnot. Just a better layout on the calendar material.
Listen, I'm not going to take us back to the calendar idea.
No,
However, if you put your photos on it instead of in the calendar, see?
Yeah.
See?
In the marketing material, definitely. It's just, it really needs to be punched up quite a bit.
What's it?
You're saying they're collecting less for their donation drive.
Oh, yeah.
Rework their marketing material.
Yeah, it's the same old letter, man. Like, I gotta do better.
And I just made myself just put a second page in there. We did that.
I don't know about that. I think just like make it short, sweet, and to the
Salisbury's is like
point.
a postcard.
Yep.
It's short and sweet, you tear off the stub and mail it.
Those
out.
people don't make it very far.
What's on the postcard though?
Just the basics, you know,
As long as it doesn't have an
donations.
EMS donation drive. 'cause there's
Or
some-
do
No, it's one mailing.
Or do like, maybe do a postcard and do like a QR code that kind of routes out. And then with that, you can kind of track your metrics and see if it's really hitting.
Talk to Sarah Hamburg. She's very good at this stuff. And she could lay out a sheet of paper or a card or however you want to do it. Really nice.
He's Gen Z over here. Did you hear him? QR code.
It didn't translate to me. I didn't.
I'm not saying that.
And then, so our invoicing, that's good news, the $50,000 increase, but some of that is because I reported to you when we were doing the quarterly reports, there was a backlog in the Medicare, so that's coming up. We do have some more aggressive collection actions by Reedy, who's our billing company in Bay Area. So hopefully that'll continue in the future. On the expense highlights, we do have a couple of overages already in the first 6 months. We've had some aged copiers that we thought we could get another year or so out of it, we replaced. And then after we did the budget and presented it, the middle of June, they hit us with insurance increase. Nothing we can do about it, just like you all see it with malpractice insurance and the vehicle insurance. Salaries are running a little over. You mentioned about the vacancies. We still have the 2 paramedic vacancies. So we're covering that with part-time people and overtime and stuff. As I said, we've not missed a beat. All the shifts, per like the contract says, we've had everybody like they're supposed to be. But it does cost money. So that's one of the things that we're looking at during budget time is making sure our pay plan and all stays good. And the capital expense summary, again, just no change from what we reported to you before. The 2 ambulances are on order, and what the county provides and what the town's committed to fund over the next 3 years.
All right, any questions for Chief Grunin or President Fitzgerald regarding EMS? All right, Councilmember Orris?
Yeah, so we're going to go back to the fire side, and pleasure to meet you, sir. Dave and I have been talking about the fire side since I've been up here along with everyone else. But after the last work session that we, I'm sorry, the meeting that we had with fire and EMS, I kind of felt a little. I don't know what the words. I felt like something was missing. So I know we have been talking about a 3-year data set to kind of get us better attuned to have a historical reference on when we start talking about things like formulas and capital and operating expenses and stuff like that. So I went ahead and did that. And I just used I went back 3 calendar years to your reports, Dave, which is what you said you would. If you were doing it, that's how you would do it. And I made the little spreadsheet here, and I want to give this to you guys because we haven't seen it yet. I'm not going to go over the whole thing.
can't speak Gen Z, but I can speak spreadsheet.
Yes, see, there we go. And I mean, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go over the whole thing in detail right now. I'd like you to take that back and take a look and see if it matches. Well, it should for what you reported, but what I did on the cover page there, I'm calling it the cover page, is I broke it down to total calls per calendar year, in-town calls calendar year and out-of-town calendar year. And then on the right there, I did the county fire funding as of the current, that I understand it, of the current fiscal year, and the town fire funding that we currently provide. So for me, and I shared this with the folks up here, for me this kind of helps like get the data set that we can so that everyone's on the same page. Vice President Burrell has asked for something like that, if I recall correctly, in order to be equitable to you and from you, if that makes sense. So if you wouldn't mind, take a look at this. If you have any questions, please reach out, or anybody up here, please reach out to me. And then I think that at our next quarterly meeting, which I believe is in March, or our next budget meeting.
Sarah has it scheduled, I think, right?
Do what?
I think. If not, we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, so at our next meeting, we can maybe go over this, and that might give us a little bit of a solid foundation, for lack of a better term, on our further discussions.
Sound good?
So then if you could just verify, my math and whatnot. Though I did have one question. You'll see there's a question mark there on the county side. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but we can talk about that at that meeting, the 11.5.
No idea.
Yeah, so, and I got that information from the county website when they were doing their budget.
Would the insinuation here be that the town is paying $1,200 per call, $1,300 per call, versus the $1,000 per call that the county's paying?
Well, no, I'm not, that's just the math. That's what I'd like y'all to take a look. But also there was a variance. The county did calendar year 23. So on that date, there was a variance in the number of calls reported. So that's where I was a little in a gray area of the numbers. You'll see if you...
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So I'm not really insinuating anything. I'm just putting stuff to paper. And I think that it's just a good way for us to have something to look at when we talk.
Speaking numbers, if we can have your fiscal year 2026 request by mid-February, that would be great. We understand that it might not lock in everything, but we do need to at least have placeholders as we start our budgeting process. So you can send that to me and Mary and Sarah.
I don't think there's been any change from the last numbers that we gave you, but I'll double check.
Just let us know. And then in April, we'll have our work sessions. Just keep in mind they alternate, so it's the first Monday, it's either the first or third that we'll have the general fund. And then that's the only one that really applies to you.
So are we still having our quarterly meeting and the budget?
Yep.
And the
Yeah,
budget?
they're
We
two separate
don't
things.
do quarterly meetings anymore.
Or
we do
Mayor
semi-
Council,
Oh,
semi-
I forgot.
So it is in March, yes.
But the one that I'm referencing is our typical budget work
Our budget work
session.
session that we get to somebody, Natalie. Or-
Natalie will
or
send
she
it out.
sends an email.
Laura, it might come from Laura this time,
Okay.
or Sarah.
Doesn't matter.
We'll see.
Yeah, first and thirds are good because that's our drill nights, our meeting nights.
Yeah, it won't, it'll be on a different,
Yeah.
because we don't like to stack the two.
Yes, good. We're on the same boat.
Right.
You've done it enough, you know, but,
Yes, sir.
all right, thank you all, we appreciate it. Have a good night. Andy, great to meet you.
Yeah, listen, what I sent you guys, at any time, call me. If you have a question, you see something, you're scratching your head, or a thought just passes in, you'd like to have an explanation for it, give me a shout. Anytime.
Thank you, we appreciate it. All right, up next is agenda item 5, and that's town administrator and departmental reports.
The only thing I have is a reminder that Ryan Hardesty will be starting in the planning department on Monday. I'll give her permission to turn her phone off.
Yes.
For at least
It'll be a
the first
flood.
few days. Yeah, and yeah. we'll
Thank
go
you.
there.
All right, any questions for Mary or department heads regarding the departmental reports? Okay, see you on. We'll move on to comments from the public. Anyone from the public that would like to address the mayor and council? Seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the council. We'll start with Councilmember Orris. Who has to change tonight, I'll change.
So you threw me off. So I wanted to, Tim's not here, so Mary, could you please ask, I noticed that the section of streetlights around the War Memorial, a little bit down Baker and up kind of towards the museum, haven't been on in the early morning hours. I know some of them are on different sets and different times, but this was...
Depends on what eye.
Yeah, so I mean, that might just be it, but it was the only section.
About what time?
That was about 5:45, 6 o'clock this morning.
So not enough light to really matter.
Well, it could, but the other ones were, like all the other ones were on.
Okay. All right,
So just if...
around 5:45.
And I wanted to suggest to the group...
Be careful, we might not change the order.
Yeah, I know. The county commissioners, you all have may have seen that they've changed, they're supporting the Coastal Bays request for a letter of support for funding. The Coastal Bays folks, did mention us, the town of Berlin, stormwater and flooding directly. I would like to ask the mayor and administration, I know that the deadline's passed, but to draft a similar letter of support.
We did it, and it was approved by the,
Okay.
We actually provided ours before the county even voted to do theirs.
That might have been why they changed his mind.
That might be, that might be.
I'm not going to get into their politics, but upon request, we did submit, and it was approved by this body.
Okay.
They've also requested that we continue our support by participating in their calls this week. Mary has it on her
Yeah, we actually had a lengthy call with just Darrell, Stephen, and I with just the
Coastal Bay.
Coast Bays folks, and then we have a call with the granting agent Thursday.
Okay.
We're an active participant.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for letting me know, and that's all I have.
We recognize stormwater.
I concur.
All right, Councilmember Nerd.
All right, so we sit up here often and thank our employees for all the great work they do throughout our town, which of course they do, but there is one individual we rarely thank, and that's our town administrator, Mary Boland. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but I'll tell you for the last 6-7 months, she's been acting as our planning director, taking on that role in addition to her role as town administrator. And it is a tremendous amount of work. It's caused her undue stress. And it is very much appreciated by this mayor and council, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
You do.
On that note, Mary, when Ryan comes in, you can turn your phone off for a half hour.
Let us know when, though.
5 to 5:30.
I'm joking. David Gaskell's favorite time for a phone call is 4:30 on a Friday.
No, it's not.
We have a joke.
Fancy flip phone he's got.
Thank you. Councilmember Nichols.
Wow, yeah, it's wild being last.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Jack's fault.
Hey, I'm okay with being last. I completely am. I will say.
Vice President Burrell and Councilmember Green are truly last.
Gen Z talk.
I'm not even a Gen Z idiot. I'm like
I don't know what
2 generations before that. So, yeah. I'm 50, so what would that make me? I don't know. Anyway,
You're on record live.
so thinking about this, there were a couple things. I wanted to, Tim's not here, but I did want to say congratulations to him. And I thought that's where Jack was going a minute ago. That's why I was nodding, and then I stopped nodding, because I thought you were about to say congratulations to Tim.
Well, congratulations, Tim, for whatever you were going to say.
On being on being asked to be on the board of directors for the utilities, for the Maryland DC Utilities Association.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. Tim's, I don't think, and I could say this till I'm green in the face, but I don't think people truly understand that Berlin is an entity solely on its own. I'm not saying that we could function on our own without the rest of the country or the world or the state of Maryland, but on our own, we are a pretty unique entity that does a pretty darn good, I almost said that word, darn good job of functioning very well on our own in these departments, our water, our sewer, our electric, our police department. Chief, dude, when you said a minute ago how you were getting this drone and where the funding was coming from, I think that it's phenomenal that you are a budget guru. Like, I mean, every season when we sit at this table and talk budgets and whatnot, you all come up, you're able to put the things down that you need, but to be able to manage and manage and source your funds and put them where they need to go and do those things, that takes a lot of work on top of all the other parts. But I thought about that today with you and this drone. You knew you wanted it, you knew you needed it, and you were able to figure out a way of making that happen without that being an additional cost. And that's the way that Berlin works. And I don't think that everyone in this community truly understands how you all are able to, as department heads. Jimmy Charles, I'm not leaving you out here, friend, so don't feel bad. How you all
He sings on the side.
It's not how you pay for that.
I'm going on the radio.
It's not.
Right.
It's 12 to 12:30. It's already going to be.
Not in his standards.
His comedy is.
You gotta get enough recognition and accolades, and I'm not saying that you do it for that, but it's truly not, people don't truly understand the behind the scenes of how much effort and work it takes to run this town the way that it's run. And I don't think people even locally understand that we aren't funded, we aren't sourced by other entities. Someone was like, oh, well, you get your power from Delmar Power. We don't. You know what I mean? Oh, well, they just come and take care of it. No, we do these things ourselves. So to know what all you all do to make this town work, I say thank you. Kudos, big job.
Speaking of Del Mar's Power, I think it's important to note, I meant to say something, but if you got a postcard saying that your utilities are going up, I know some of us did, that is not the town of Berlin. I think that was a bulk mail that went out. It is not related to the town of Berlin.
Right.
So please disregard that.
And I can tell you that Delmar power rates have gone up.
Yes, they have. Anything else, Councilmember Nichols, or are you good?
No, I think my chance.
We're going to move over to item 7, the mayor's office. Sarah, anything? No updates. All right, from me, I will say, piggybacking off of what Councilmember Nichols said, as much as Berlin is able to operate on its own, we and our departments are very engaged at the state and other levels, whether that's Maryland Rural Water, whether that's different police associations. Our chief's just coming off of some tenure with MML, with the Chiefs Association, whether that's being engaged with other public works departments or anything like that. Gaskell's involved with the Attorneys Association, as well as his work, still president of the Worcester County Bar, right?
No, I'm not president. I run the charity committee.
Okay. So,
Now he is at a GFOA conference right now as a member of their steering committee.
So we have folks that are very active and engaged at all levels. So we understand that, yes, we are able to do a lot on our own, but we are a partner with our municipalities, and we're engaged with other levels of government, which I think is very, very important in the work that we're doing. All right. Up next, we'll go to agenda item 8. Any questions from the press? Okay, seeing none, we'll take Vice President's
You didn't give him a second.
There we
Did
go.
you all?
I saw a head shake, that's all I needed. Did you have anything? I saw a nose.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I thought I saw a head shaking up.
The little dude, he had something.
Yeah, but I watched him, his head shook no. His bird head shook no. I was good. All right. Any motions to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
Second, third.
Thank you, all in favor? There we go.
Leslie was about to say something.
Yes. Thank you, Carol.
Okay.